It's the Bennie Randall Show. It's the Bennie Randall Show. It's the Bennie Randall Show.
Welcome to another edition of the Bennie Randall Show. I'm your host, Bennie Randall Jr., aka The Motivator. And this powerful show brings you conversations with today's stars and tomorrow's legends. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Come on.
It's the Bennie Randall Show. 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 I love the Bennie Randall. I love the Bennie Randall. I love the Bennie Randall Show. Yeah. I love the Bennie Randall. I love the Bennie Randall. I love the Bennie Randall Show. Yeah.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Bennie Randall Show. I'm your host, Bennie Randall Jr., aka The Motivator. And like I always say, thank you for allowing me into your hearts and your homes. You can learn more about me at BennieRandall.com. And like always, you can watch this show and all other episodes at BennieRandallShow.com. It's not a game, it's a lifestyle. We have an extraordinary guest. We had some technical difficulties, but we got in here. We just gonna move with it. Her name is Angela Randall. She's the author of Prophetic Dreams. It's here to encourage you. It's here to speak to the dreamer who doesn't clearly understand their dreams. It's here to speak to the dreamer who feels as though they cannot share their dreams with others because others just don't understand. Prophetic Dreams is here to inspire you. It's here to motivate you to pursue your God-given gifts and shed the anchors of doubt and frustration brought about by others and indeed your own disbelief. It's here to show you how to follow your inner spirit and how to ask the Lord to help you develop the gift he's bestowed upon you. Prophetic Dreams is her gift. It is granted by the Holy Spirit. It is taking time to develop, but the more she sought the Lord, the more the dreams can true. God sends dreams both to encourage and warn. Your dreams are just attainable as anyone else. Be the next to write your book. Be the next to share your story. You can do it. Just believe. Lordy, have mercy. Pray for us right here. It's very powerful. And just in case you got no idea, we'll let you see the little teaser on Angela's wait, hold up. Drop-ins won't show a recorders or audio archive, but okay. I don't know why it won't let me do this drop-ins right here, but let's see if we can make it happen. Wow, I love that music, man. That is good. And I love your affirmations that you put on. Angela Randall, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Come on, you know I'm blessed, highly favored, walking in the light. I'm just chosen one. I'm just glad to be here. And I'm so glad that you could join us on your show.
All right. Thank you.
There it is.
I'm glad.
So, Angela, so tell me a little bit about Prophetic Dreams. Why did you write this book? And explain to my viewers and listeners what is Prophetic Dreams?
Well, the reason why I wrote the book was because of the dreams I've had since I was about the age of 16. A lot of them puzzled me because I didn't understand what they meant. That's one reason why I wrote the book. And another reason why was to try to get this message out that I knew that this was something more than just dreams. It was things that I would dream about and they would come true concerning people.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to get that message out, to let people know that God gives gifts, and he gives gifts according to his choosing. We don't choose the gift that he give us, but we have to learn how to develop that gift and make it work for us.
So let me ask you, when it comes to these dreams, now everybody has dreams. Does everybody's dreams tell them something, or is there? I've heard that some dreams are impressions that maybe you went through during the day, and then I've heard some dreams people have them in visions, when they're wide awake, and then there's dreams that people have when they're in a solid state of sleep. Do all dreams matter, or is there just rambunctious movements of the mind?
I do believe all dreams matter. It's what you're trying to figure out what they mean to you. My dreams are when I'm sound asleep. I don't have daydream, day visions. I've never had a vision where I was awake. All my dreams are when I am asleep. I'm in a deep sleep, and that's when God chooses to deal with me when I am asleep.
Now it's very powerful. Now I love this beautiful cover, and it shows a mystic way, and it also shows these presents. Do they represent something that is that why you said don't be afraid of your gift? Because when you understand your dreams, it's really a gift. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. The box represents gifts that a lot of times we have not even tapped into, the gifts that God has given us. So I chose those boxes because they represent the gifts that God has for us. It's just like a Christmas present. When you get a Christmas present, you're so anxious to take off that bow, take off that box, and see what's inside of it. Well, this is the same thing in the realm of the spirit, but a lot of us are afraid too because of what we have to give ourselves to. So there are spiritual gifts that are inside of us, but they have to be perfected like we perfect anything else.
So let me ask you this. When's the first time did you know that the dreams that you were having was premonitions? Because that's what I got from reading the book, that these dreams were telling you something. So at what age did you start to recognize that these was just not your everyday dreams? And how did you welcome or not welcome the gift?
Well, the first dream I had, I knew that it was something very serious, because the first dream I had was about the Roman soldiers that I pictured in the sky. And it was a perfect picture in the sky, and they were fully clothed and ready to go to battle. I knew that was just not a regular dream you go to sleep and dreams, about. I knew that there was something more to that. And it puzzled me a lot because a lot of people, no one could tell me what it meant.
Okay.
So the more
So here's what I love about when reading the book. I love how you give the dream, you give your interpretation, and then you give how it relates. So give me one of the dreams out of this book that and help my listeners understand how it relates in their life at this moment, the way it correct. Because it was some very power in here, which I'm gonna go through in here. But I mean, give me one of your favorites.
Absolutely. My favorite one of my favorite ones is about the angels. I was reading this book by Joyce Myers about angels, and I went to sleep, and the only thing I could hear was this sound that I put in. I described it as like the ocean waters, but it was such a sound of the wing, as if the angel had got so close to me, until the wing was so vast, and the sound was such a unusual sound, until it immediately woke me up. So that lets us know that we do have angels that cover us and protect us. But if we don't know that we're protected by God and by His angels, then we have missed the place where, that we're covered and we're protected, because we do have a protection over us, and the angels walk with us every day.
And so that's how it relates to us in our daily lives now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We
now
have angels walk with you every day.
Okay, now here's one I thought was very powerful because it touched me, and that was in chapter 8, talking about the miscarriage. Because when I was married, I'm divorced now, but when I was married, my ex-wife had our first child was a miscarriage. Like the week before the child was supposed to be born, the child had to be delivered. The child was basically fully grown.
Right.
At that time, it had to be delivered the right way, but the child, there was no heartbeat. So that kind of stuck with me. Tell me a little bit about this dream of miscarriage, and tell me about that experience with that individual.
Well, this dream I had about this young lady, in the dream, I could hear there was a deep cry. I mean, deep, deep within. And I would say it was a soul deep. And I could hear her crying as if it was a moaning or a groaning. And immediately when I wake up out of my dreams, it appears that somebody's in the room with me. So it wakes me up immediately, and the first thing I do is I begin to pray for the individuals. And then when I did talk to the individual about it, I was like, hey, I had a dream about you. And I began to tell her the dream. She began to cry because she opened up and she shared with me what had happened, that she was pregnant, she had a miscarriage. And that is devastating, not only to the mother, but to, like you said, the father as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So she said to me, Angela, nobody knows about this. I have not told anybody about this. I said, well, I'm telling you that the Lord gave me a dream of, this dream, and He showed me you. And I told her, I said, what that deep hurt that's inside, you need to release it so God can begin to heal you, so you can be able to move forward. And then she said to me, she said, Angela, I have 2 other kids, and me and my husband have came to a decision, a conclusion that we're okay with the 2 kids we have. But yet she also wanted me to keep it private.
Wow.
So, and I told her, I said, you know what, there's never a problem. When God give me stuff like that, I always go to the individual, and I even to this day, I keep her in prayer, and I always, ask her if she's okay. So, and I said this before, that God gives things to people that He know He can trust with for people's information.
Absolutely.
Because we don't know what edge a person may be on, and God can immediately speak to us and give us this information, because He know He can trust us with it, that we're going to pray and we're going to intercede for that person. We're not going to talk about them. We're not going to talk behind their back or laugh, because you never know what state a state of mind a person is in.
So let me ask you, how does it seems like you totally understand your gift, and I want to go into some of the other dreams, but how does the average person begin to even interpret their dreams and how it works inside their lives, who may not be, I guess, as spiritually connected as you are, but how does one start to listen to the clues of their dreams? Because as you said in some of your affirmations there on that little piece, dreams come to encourage and warn. Right. So how does the average person, like my listeners in this chat room, and those who might be listening over the internet globally, how do they begin to understand their own dreams?
Well, first off, if you don't understand them, you need to seek seek God and ask Him, Lord, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to warn me of? Because they're going to either come to encourage or to warn. So either way, you have to seek God and ask God, Lord, what are you trying to tell me? And if you don't understand it, try to search it, see if there's anything in the Word that pertains to it. And if you can't get anything from that, then go to your spiritual leaders and ask them, I had this dream. Can you help me to understand it? There's somebody that will be able to help that person, individual, understand that dream.
Very, very powerful. So let me ask you something then. There was a dream you talked about in here, the gunshot wound. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh my. I had a dream. This dream was about my sister, and looked like she had gotten shot. And I could see the hole and everything. And I thought to myself, everybody else was crying. And I said to myself, oh, she's going to be all right. But it looked like they made us leave the room. But when we came back to the room, everybody was crying. She had died. And I woke up that morning, and it disturbed me, because I know when I tell her certain dreams, she gets, kind of upset or afraid. But and I told her I walked out of the house, because my sister lived next door to me. And I went and I told her about the dream. And before I can even get out the door, my son and my nephew was sitting out the door. They told me that a friend of his had got shot that night. Even after I told my sister, I went and told my sister about the dream, and I came back, and my son told me immediately, Mom, because when I was walking out the door, they were sitting there, and I was like, I had this dream. And I began to tell them. And I went and told my sister. When I walked back over, my son said to me, Mom, my friend got shot last night and died.
So I guess God had revealed to you what was going to happen. So let me ask you something then. It would seem that if you're getting these premonitions, how does it help other people in a sense? Like, are you required to go tell them, or are you required, like, what is the purpose of you seeing a dream and not being able to, I guess, stop the process?
Well, I think most of my dreams are within a 24-hour period. It's either after the fact that some things have happened, and if I know the person, I will immediately go to them and warn them.
Okay.
Because it was my sister, of course, I went and told her about it, because it was her. She was the individual that got shot. But it was reversed. It was my son's friend. Now, had I known this young man, I would have warned him. Because, like, again, they're gonna come to warn, or they're gonna come to encourage. So
let me ask you something. And it's funny that you said that. I want to go to that transition to that. I've heard that, like, when people have dreams, it is always the reverse of whatever the dream is, right? So if it's the reverse, what you see may not be that individual. So how does that come into play into helping people if it's the reverse and you don't know what that reverse is?
Well, like I said, if I don't know the individual, what I do is pray. If we could, in one of the chapters about the kids, with the photo album book, I had no idea who these kids were, but the Lord gave me the dream. He showed me these kids. I was looking through a photo album book, and I was looking at all these kids, and I was in the dream. I was saying to myself, Lord, who are these kids? Because I have no idea who these kids were. Now, this was a big burden on me, because they were kids that I was like, Lord, if they're missing, return them to their families. If they're dead, return their remains, because somebody is looking for them. So I have no idea who these kids were. But after the shooting with the Sandy Hook, shooting with all of those kids that got killed, immediately it brought me back to that dream I had. Now, on the meantime, I was praying and interceding for these kids.
Wow. So how did that now, because that's pretty deep what you're saying right now. Absolutely. And, some people might not be even me, I'm learning here as I'm listening, and I've read the book.
Absolutely.
How do you make the connection that this dream is about these people? How do you make that connection?
Well, like I said, God gives us the Holy Spirit to help us to learn and to grow and to confirm, things that happen or come into our life. The Holy Spirit is there to guide us and to chart our course. So immediately, the Holy Spirit is a person. So if you had a person talking or relating to you, immediately that there's going to be a connection between those two people, even though it's spiritual, yet it's going to be a connection. And immediately I knew that's what it was.
So you
I
just
can't tell you how I knew. I knew.
So are you saying it's just like an inner knowing? Is that what you're saying?
Right, because the Holy Spirit immediately, would prompt me and say, "Okay, let me just share this dream with you." I had a dream about this rock. In the dream, I saw this rock floated in the sky.
Okay.
And as I saw it floating like a balloon, it was going to the east, but yet it floated and came back to the west. Now, I was thinking like, okay, what kind of big rock floats in the sky?
That wasn't Donald Trump, now, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
No. But as this rock began to float back to the west, it broke up.
Okay.
And in my subdivision, we have a area that's in the middle. And when those rocks broke up, it flattened that part of that subdivision.
Okay.
Now, that brought me back to, and I told my son, I was like, what kind of rock is this floating in the sky like this? And immediately it was an asteroid. And I believe it was just this year. An asteroid broke up in one part of our town down in Fayetteville, Florida. And that was only I think the dream was maybe a year or two out. But immediately that brought me back to the asteroid. I told my son, I said, that is an asteroid. Now, who would think an asteroid would be falling in 2016?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you want people to get from this book? Because this is one of those books like you got to be one of those people that are, one, open, and then number two, that are looking, to understand things that may be going on in your life. What do you want the reader to walk away with when reading this book?
I want the reader to walk away with knowing that there are gifts that you have not even tapped in. You don't even know what God is capable of doing through you if you're not tapped into your gifts. Like I said to someone else, I don't want it to take people 30 years for them to tap in their gifts like it took for me, because once I started explaining these dreams to people, nobody could help me. I didn't know what they meant. I was a 16-year-old. The only thing people could tell me, baby, God is using you. You know what I'm saying? So, but I had no.
Was 16 years old? Was that the first
Yes.
time you had the first dream that started to really make an impression on you?
Yes.
That caused you to, get into this
Absolutely.
aspect of
I was
understanding
16
the
years
dreams?
old. And that was just around it.
So what? So I'm curious. What made you believe that all these dreams are so valuable that you wanted to share it with the world? Like, what made you started writing these dreams? What made you want to make a collection of all these dreams together?
I would share my dreams with one of my friends at work. And I was sharing so much information with her. She was like, Angela, do you journal your dreams? And I told her, I said, no, I don't journal them. She said, well, you need to start journaling them, because I was telling her so much stuff that I'm telling you, in a 24-hour period, stuff was happening. It was hitting a 100% target, So that's when I started journaling the dreams. But she said, Angela, you need to start journaling your dreams. And that's only been like 4 or 5 years ago.
And they say writing is therapeutic, man. I'm telling you, when you write, it allows things to release inside of you. One thing I know is just even when I'm probably a better speaker than I am a writer, but I will speak my words out. And when I read them back, I realize how powerful they really are. So, that's very powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, you are listening to the Bennie Randall Show, or you're watching the Bennie Randall Show, depending on how you got here. Okay. And we are talking to Angela D. Randall, very powerful book, Prophetic Dreams. We'll be right back after this word from our sponsor. And if you're just joining us, you are watching the Bennie Randall Show. I'm your host, Bennie Randall Jr., aka the Motivator. And you can watch all this episode and all the other episodes at BennieRandallShow.com. That's BennieRandallShow.com, and you can learn more about me at BennieRandall.com. It's not a game, it's a lifestyle. We are speaking to Angela D. Randall. She wrote the book Prophetic Dreams. Don't Be Afraid of Your Gift. It's an amazing book. And if you got a chance, just go over to AngelaDRandall.com to get your digital copy, to get your pre-order copy. And let me ask you, when will you be releasing this book? And
yes,
will you be having a launch party?
Already released. And the launch party will be on April the 30th. And that will be in the city of Norcross, Georgia. You want me to give the address? Okay.
Yes, you can give the address, and
Right,
I'm sure they can probably find
or
the
they
stuff
can
on
go
your
to the
website
website
also.
at Angela Randall, AngelaDRandall.com or Angela Randall International. And this event will be held at Pickleyville Park Community Recreation Center. At 4650 Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, Berkeley Lake, and the zip code is 371.
So let me ask you something, Angela. Now that you've put this book out, you're probably going to have people coming to you to tell you about their dreams and see if they can get an interpretation about them. Are you capable of doing that, or these dreams just have to come through you and they have to wait for the next edition?
If I know the interpretation of the dream, I will give it to them. Or sometimes I may have to say, well, let me pray on it and fast on it, and then I'll give you an answer. Sometimes I don't have an answer right away. And sometimes, the Lord will give me an interpretation right away.
So how do you feel about having this gift that you speak of? Is this an overwhelming gift? Are you glad you got it?
It's both,
per se.
Because you're dealing with people's lives, and sometimes it's a heavy weight on you because, the Lord is entrusting you with somebody else's issues. So you got to be able to deal with those issues, So you got to have yourself in a place, through prayer and in the Word. So whatever encouragement that you need to give that person, you'll be ready to give that person word. And it's good too because it gives me. I was never a bold person, I was very shy. But the dreams give me a boldness to just immediately go to these people, and let them know. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, they say sometimes God pick the ordinary and humble people and turn them into extraordinary people, so people can see the growth and the build of that individual. At the same time, that person being used as an instrument to bring these things across, when they're there. Because I'm telling you, it's, when I read the book, it's very touching. But at the same time, I know you're going to have you're going to have your detractors and you're going to have those people who say, oh, Lordy, she don't know what she's talking about. What do you say to those people who don't believe that dreams actually
well, I would say to those people, be open-minded, because we have no idea what our minds are capable of. If God is not foremost in our lives, be open-minded, because God can be very well speaking to you regarding something, and because you're not open-minded to it, you won't receive it.
Very, very powerful. Do you think a lot of people miss clues in their life because they don't pay attention to what's going on in their dreams, or they don't pay attention to the voices that are inside that are speaking to them?
It's like this one dream, if I can share this one. I had a dream about this young lady's son, and this was an older child, and the Lord showed me in a dream that he was getting ready to travel back to his mother's house. And in the dream, it was like the Lord was telling me to warn him not to go. I went to the individual that next morning.
Mhm.
I told her about the dream, and I said, "You have an older son?" And she was like, "No, I have a younger son." I said, "No, you have an older son." And then she thought about it. She said, "Yeah, I have a stepson who's older." I said, "In the dream," then I began to tell her about the dream. I said, "In the dream, I see he's going somewhere." And I told her, I said, "Tell him not to go because it's a setup." She showed me a text from the kid that he was getting ready to go that same day back to his biological mother's house. And I told her, I said, "Tell him not to go because it's a setup." And that was all I got from it.
Mm-hmm.
He did not go.
Wow. Did he go?
He did not go.
Wow. And see, here's the beauty. You know,
Absolutely.
nobody knows what would have happened had he went. And the fact that you was able there to give him a warning, it wasn't meant for him to go because he would have got such a
and the reason why he was going, because I think he had a young baby with a girlfriend. But yet I told her, I said, "Tell him not to go because it's a setup."
Mm-hmm. They're saying that I'm gonna refresh you, Angela. You stay in here because they're saying they can't see me. So sometimes you have to refresh on here. But I'm gonna ask you a question. I want you to continue to ask the question, even if well, if you could see me, put a 1 in the screen, because if my screen is black, it might be your internet. If you guys in the chat room can see me, put a 1 in the screen. If you could see and hear me, just put a 1. Oh, okay. All right. So they can see and hear me. So, all right. So sometimes, the internet goes in and out. It then, blabs in beta. You know what I mean? So, Angela, let me ask you this. Why is this so important to you? Why was this so important to you? And why the name prophetic dreams? Why not, I'm dreaming all night. I feel like dreaming. Somebody got a dream. Somebody told me I could dream. Martin Luther King had a dream.
Well, that was what the Holy Spirit gave to me in my sleep. I prayed and I asked the Lord, I said, "Lord, what would you have me name the book?" Now, remember, I hadn't even wrote the book. I was just journaling. But by faith, I knew I was going to write this book. I just didn't know when. So I prayed and I asked the Lord, I said, "Lord, what would you have me name the book?" And like I get on, everything else, I heard him very clearly. Prophetic, name the book Prophetic Dreams. And that's where the name comes from.
Very powerful. So let me ask you something. What do you want readers to walk away when they read this book? What do you want them to walk away with? What is the message?
The message I would convey to the listeners today is tap into, find out what your gift is. Pray and ask God and seek Him to come alive. Let your gift come alive in you. Don't be afraid of it. I was afraid of it when I started dreaming these dreams. I didn't want to be that person that that gave bad news.
Now, are all your dreams bad news, or are some of them good news? Do you ever have dreams that say, "Hey, guess what? You're gonna win tomorrow. You're gonna win the lotto"?
But I do get good dreams. If I did that, I'll be playing to myself. I ain't gonna tell nobody else. I'm being honest. But
no, listen.
But yeah, I have good and bad. But I want people to know that everything that we go through, it's not even for us. It's for other people. And that may be hard for some people to comprehend, to understand. But everything that we go through is for somebody else. So I want them to know that there is a ministry inside of you, and you have to figure out, ask and seek the Lord to figure out what it is, and then you continue to perfect it until it comes to full term. It's just like a baby. It's there's a baby inside of you, and that baby grows until they get 9 months old and ready to be delivered. Well, it's the same thing with a gift. You have to
Mhm.
birth, you have to nurture that baby, mature that baby, and when that baby is ready to come to birth, it's going to come out. The same is it with the spirit realm as it is in the natural.
Very, very, very powerful. So we running down on time here
Yes.
because it took a little time to get up in here. But let me ask you this. Is this the first of many dream books, or is there more to come? What more can we expect from Angela D. Randall? Because this was a very powerful book, and I can tell you by reading it myself, um, it touched me in a lot of different ways. Some that I won't expose on,
Hmm.
live around the world. But and I can tell that it would affect other people's in many different ways. So what is your final words? And if people want to learn more about you also, where can they learn more about you, get a copy of the book,
So
and
to learn
et cetera,
more,
et cetera?
well, I do believe that there's going to be another part. It's going to be another part two to this book. Um, and I've started writing already because I've started dreaming again. So, other dreams. Um, they can,
Speaking of that, can you
no, I
cut the
have no
dreams on and
control over
off or no?
those. No, I don't.
So
No,
you can't change the channel and be like,
no, I
I ain't
can't.
trying to dream tonight.
Nope, I can't do that. But they can go to the website, AngelaDRandall.com, or Angela Randall International. Angela D. Randall, you can purchase the book there or a digital copy, or you could go to Angela Randall International to follow me on
Yeah,
Facebook.
on Facebook.
Yes,
Is that correct? Is that what it is,
yes,
Angela, on Facebook? Okay, so follow you on Angela
Angela D.
Randall,
Right.
A Randall
Yes,
International on Facebook. Better yet, they could. You probably have links on your website at the bottom where they
absolutely.
could just click on, right? So basically, they can go to Angela D.
Yes.
Randall, do everything they need to do. Go on, girl, sell it. All right, then. And your final words, Angela, for those who are listening around the world, those who are listening on the BennieRandallShow.com, and those who are going to listen to the replay. What is your final words you want to leave with the listeners and potential readers of this powerful book, Prophetic
Don't be
Dreams?
afraid of your gift. Let God do what He wants to do, um, in you and through you, because it's going to help somebody else.
Very, very powerful. Now, did you have the dream that this book was going to be done?
What do you mean?
Did a dream come to you and say this going to become a book, or the dreams became so powerful they provoke you to create the book?
No, absolutely no. But well, remember when I got the title of the book, I know the book was going to come to pass even before I start writing. I was journaling, but when I got the topic of the book, I knew that the book was going to come forth. I just didn't know when.
Go on with your bad self. So you knew you had something to share. And
Absolutely.
here's what I like to tell people when they are writing books. This book will outlive you. And this book will go on for years and years and years, way beyond the time where you go back. And that's the beauty of sharing your contributions with the world. Because, if God forbid, if you died tomorrow, this book would be here and somebody may get something from it, because I believe whenever the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And right before the teacher will appear, individuals can. We got somebody want to come in and ask a question. So hold on for a second. Hello, Ms. Louise. So we can get you in here. I hope you're using Chrome. If you can't, refresh and make sure you're on Chrome when you're trying to get in, and that will get you in. All right, so we'll talk while we're trying to get Miss Louise in. Miss Louise, you might want to fresh and make sure you're using Chrome to get in, because that's what's stopping your camera from actually coming in if you can hear. So I'll click you out and just make sure you can refresh, or make sure you're using Chrome and not Safari or Firefox, because that's why it's not allowing you to come in. So I'm gonna click you out. You can refresh and try to come back. Okay. Now, like I was saying, prior to this, Angela, is that the beauty of you writing this book is that it will live beyond, your physical manifestation here. And how many people it will help, who knows how many people it will help. But that's the beauty of it, Did you ever think of yourself as becoming a published author, or you just got overwhelmed with this gift that you were getting?
I never thought I would be an author. I don't even like writing, So I never thought that. I'm in school now, and writing was not one of my favorites. But no, the dream.
You know how many people I've heard say that, believe it or not? I know a lot of people that write. As many books as I've written, I really don't like writing, but I enjoy sharing the information that, comes through, because some people need it in the book. I just prefer, if I can just talk all day, that's just good. And I've been blessed to be able to do that. But sometimes you do have to put it in that book, for some people to grasp. Some people just like holding that book. And, some people just like, being a part of, that whole process. And just in case you're just joining us, we're talking to Angela Randall. She wrote the book Prophetic Dreams, had a great show. And just to give you a little insight on the trailer and some powerful affirmations, check this out right here while we're waiting for Oh man, I love that trailer, man. That music is so smooth, man. I love that. Those are all your affirmations out of your book, right?
Yes.
Very, very, very powerful. So, Angela, in your last words, if somebody came to you and explained to you about how they're feeling about the things that they're seeing in their dreams, what would be your great advice to them?
My great advice for them would be to seek God for it. If you really want to understand and tap into this, just seek God, seek His word, and He will give you an answer.
So the interpretation I'm getting is that all the answers you ever need are inside.
It's inside of you.
Wow. So what?
That's the reason for the Holy Spirit.
That's amazing. So if that's the case, Angela, why do so many people always looking on the outside trying to solve their problems when really all they have to do is go inside? Why is that? Why do you think people do that?
It's just a natural instinct of people. Because we want to be connected or attached to different things. But everything you need is on the inside of you. Everything you need. You just got to tap into it. Set your mind, right. Change your mindset, the way you think about things. Because as we look around the world now, how is this going? Is it going up? Is it going down? Which way is it going? With all the turmoil. So everything you need is on the inside of you. You just gotta seek it and find it. It's like a treasure.
You know what? It's funny that you say that, and it's such a simple advice. Why do you think people fear their own judgment?
A lack of confidence in themselves. just like a confidence in themselves. You got to build your own self up with the confidence to know. That's just like me. I feared going back to school because I hated tests. And I said, I'm so serious.
I feared going back to school because I hated tests. All righty, man. That's like
I'm
saying
serious.
I wanted to drive a car, but I hate getting in cars. Huh?
No, but I feared taking tests because I did not want to fail. That's the confidence I didn't have in myself. So if you don't have the confidence in yourself, it's going to hold you back.
What made you decide to get up and go back to school?
I just put the confidence in myself to know that I could do it. Hey, if I fail it, take it over again. But guess what? I am maintaining a 6.7 GPA.
6.7?
I'm sorry, 3.7. Sorry.
I was about to say, what school are you going to? I know I ain't doing.
I'm sorry, 3.7.
I was about to say, I know I ain't doing good in school, but I know it didn't go up to 6.7. Because if it's going to 6.7, did that mean, boy? Because I think I was at like 1.2.
Oh, Father.
So it seems like you decided to go back and follow all your dreams and use your gift. What made you decide to make these changes? Because I always like to tell people, Angela, that it's never too late. I mean, Colonel Sanders was 65 years old.
Right.
Okay. When he started looking for somebody to take his recipe because he received a check for $99 and he was looking for somebody and he realized he couldn't live off that amount of money. So he said, I want to be able to, at least have money to live. And, he got 1,009 no's before he got one yes.
Wow.
Okay. And that one yes turned out to be what we know now as KFC. So in saying that, what made you decide to go back now and complete this one? I mean, because now it seems like you've been doing what you've been doing and you're successful at that per se. And what made you want to go back to school, and what also prompted you to want to write a book, and such a type of book that, there's room for any and everybody to criticize, because you know how people is when they don't understand stuff.
Oh yeah.
The first action, thing is to, to criticize something we fear, that we don't understand.
Right.
What caused you to take these steps in your life at this time in your life?
Well, I know there's more inside of me. I don't want to be on somebody's job the rest of my life for retirement. That's just not what I want, because I know there's more inside of me. I decided to go back to school because it was a goal that I've always desired to accomplish. Now, the book, I knew it was coming, but I just didn't know when. So, yes. So, I'm looking forward to retirement, and I don't want to be retiring when I'm 65 or 70 years old, to be able to do the things that I desire to do, So I just decided, that's just like if you going around a circle, 24 hours a day, 365 days in a year. At some point, you get tired of going around that same circle. You want something new. You want something different. And within yourself, there's more that's inside of you, and there's more that you can be doing. Well, that's how I feel. And I made a promise to my children. I want to be done with school. I want my degree, and my sister pushed me. Yeah, my sister pushed me.
What degree would this be when you do complete it?
I am doing my bachelor's degree in health management. It's a dual degree, health management and health information management. So it's both two management degrees.
Very, very, very powerful, man. And, I really appreciate that. And I think that alone, Angela, also inspires others. I think that alone, just your journey of going back to school, your journey of completing this very powerful book right here that you can find at AngelaDRandall.com. That's AngelaDRandall.com, and get your copy of it. I think your life in general is turning into an inspiration of a sort. Did you ever dream that you'll be put in this predicament now where people not only want to hear you speak about your accomplishments in writing this book and sharing these dreams, but also just your entire journey to where you are right now? Because a lot of people, may get to your age and be like, I'm done. I'm chilling. I'm going on vacation around the world and I'm just going to chill, get my little Social Security check and call it a day. It seems like you just getting started.
Yeah, you can't take that Social Security check and go around the world now in these days. You got you got to have some money to travel, and that's what I want to do. I want to travel. I want to see the world. I'm right at 50. It's just something about when you turn you hit that 50 mark. I don't know what it is, but it's something you're so focused. Your mind is so focused. And I hate to say it because people can accomplish it at a much younger age than 50, but your mindset has to be matured enough and be focused enough to be able to accomplish it. But I'm at a stage now I want to just chill out. I don't work almost 30 plus years in nursing. So I was like, I don't want to be on no floor being a nurse when I'm 65 years old, as I see nurses on the floor working. No, I don't want to. Wow. I don't want to be that nurse.
And speaking of nursing, before we get out of here, but it seems like you've been serving all your life, because
Absolutely.
You're serving now with your new book. You're serving others as being a nurse, because that is one of those jobs that the doctors get the credit and not the nurses. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, the nurses are doing most of the work, and the nurses are connecting with these patients. Mm-hmm. So has that been hard on you? Because I'm sure in your 30 plus years as being a nurse, you have had relationships with these people that are coming into your hospital, because it's just only natural when you're taking care of somebody. How have you been able to maintain the right mindset to stay positive and all of that?
Well, when most of my nursing degree, most of my nursing skills are in dialysis, which is a very, very tough place to be. I spent 25 years in dialysis, and if you know anything about dialysis, those people go through a lot. And I just have such a compassion for people. I just want to see people feel better, be whole, be happy. But those patients go through a lot, and a lot of times they don't have a support system, And I can remember just doing so much for so many people that were on dialysis because they did not have a support system, And with those people, being on dialysis, they're there 3 days a week, and they spend 3 days a week, maybe 4 or 5 hours a day with you at dialysis. So guess what? That's like an extended family. So they become a part of your family,
Absolutely. Very powerful. And if you're just joining us, we are speaking to Angela Randall, her brand new book, Prophetic Dreams, Don't Be Afraid of Your Gift. Angela, it's been a great time having you here. And all I want to say is this, man, keep doing what you do. And the Lord has given you this gift to be able to interpret these dreams. And in your final words, what would you like to say to our listeners about those who, when God puts it on your heart and gives you this gift? Because one thing I noticed through this whole interview, you gave God all the credit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You never really took credit for yourself, which says a lot, and as I read the book, I mean, some of the parts of this book made me tear up.
What? Did you tear up?
No, but then it was some water. I think there was some water coming from, like sometimes the roof. I'm not here. But no, it was very touching and whatnot. So why do you think God picked you to have this gift?
He has to be able to trust you with anything that he give you. If he can trust you, then he'll give it to you. If he can't trust you with it, he's not going to give it to you.
Yeah.
But if he know,
No, go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
right. But if he know he can trust you, that's just like you having a child. You know which child you can trust with your bank account card, and you know which one you can't. The same thing is.
Lordy, you preaching to the choir right now.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing because he's our Father. So our Father knows what he can trust us with. You know, it's the same.
Because I know if I give my 9-year-old daughter my checkbook, it's going down.
Okay.
You're going to come back with things she can't even drive.
Okay.
You know, so I know, I understand. I'm just kidding. I love my kids. You know what I mean? But yeah, so, you know, as you go into this new venture, and I can't wait to see more about this, and we definitely have you back on at a later time since we had a little difficulties, whatever. But what does this book mean to you? What does this mean to you? This contribution to the world, and I love the little lady on here because it looks like you in the woods. Was that you in the woods walking by yourself looking for something?
Okay, yeah, looking for that light.
Ooh, you better preach up in here. You better preach up in here.
Looking for that light. Look into that light.
Okay, this is my last question here. If you can give 2 keys to not being afraid of your gift that God has given you, what advice would you give to our listeners to not be afraid of their gift?
Don't walk in fear. You cannot walk in fear.
I asked for 2.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so 1, you can't walk in fear. And just embrace it because it's a gift. What gift that's just like a singer. If the Lord give you a gift to sing, well, there's some people that's gifted to sing and some people just want to sing. That's different. A gift is going to make room for you. So guess what? That gift will make room for you in time. But Absolutely. You're going to have to go through. You're going to have to go through in order to get to that, get to the place where God wants you to be.
I definitely agree with that, Angela. I definitely agree with that. Because when God gave me this sexy voice, he was like, it's going to make room for you, brother. And it's been making a lot of room for me. You know what I mean? It's making a lot of room for me. I'm just and thank you, Jesus. So you can give one last time your website where people can learn more about you, learn about your interviews, learn about where they can purchase the book. What is that website again?
It's AngelaDRandall.com. And that's connected to my Facebook account. Or you can go to Angela Randall International.
And we're going to leave you with this very powerful, before we get out, we want to play this one more time, this powerful trailer from Angela's book right here. Come on, we need you to play.
It's playing.
Man, I can listen to that all the time, Angela. And I want to just thank you for being here on the Bennie Randall Show. You can learn more about Angela at AngelaDRandall.com. And I want to leave you with this, ladies and gentlemen. What did we learn today? One, we learned that when you have a gift, go after your gift and don't be afraid to share your gift. Don't be afraid to share the gift that everybody has given you, that God has given you, regardless of what people think. You're going to have your critics, but as you see here, Angela, she had no fear at all. She took none of the credit for her blessings. And I tell you, it takes a strong soldier to be able to do that and give God credit in what you do. Because in the times we live in now, that, you know, the moment you say God, people just start running away. So I appreciate you coming here and sharing that with Angela. And I want our listeners to understand this. Your gift is your gift. No matter if other people understand your gift, no matter if other people appreciate your gift is meant to serve somebody, whether that be one person or 1 million people. You never know why you were given a gift. But here's one thing I can tell you. Angela said it earlier. Your gift will make room for you. I love to talk. I never thought people would pay me to talk. And people pay me a lot of money to talk, and I appreciate it, because had they not, I don't know where I'd be right now. I'd probably be still sleeping in my car. So that's all I'm going to tell you right now. I just appreciate it. And I want you to appreciate your gift. So whatever your gift, whether you are a singer, a writer, a dancer, a nurse, I don't care what it is you do, be the very best you can. And your gift, ladies and gentlemen, will make room for you. There's millions of speakers, but there's nobody that speak like Bennie Randall Jr., aka the Motivator, the sexiest voice in America. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, I'm your host, Bennie Randall Jr., aka the Motivator, and we'll see you next Sunday at 8 p.m., God willing. God bless, and remember, I love you, and you can't do a damn thing about it. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.